In the long history of India's struggle for freedom, few names shine as brightly as Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. To the world, he was India's first Prime Minister. To children, he was Chacha Nehru. To the nation, he was the architect of modern India. But behind the glory lies a story of doubt, failure, and immense struggle. A story of a privileged young man who transformed into a leader of millions. Jawaharlal Nehru was born on 14th November 1889 in Allahabad, into the wealthy Nehru family. His father, Motilal Nehru, was a successful lawyer. His childhood was comfortable, surrounded by books, tutors, and luxury. Unlike millions of Indians living in poverty, Nehru grew up in privilege. At just 15, he was sent to England to study at Harrow, one of the most prestigious schools. Later, he studied at Trinity College, Cambridge, excelling in natural sciences, and trained in law at the Inner Temple in London. But while his education gave him knowledge, it also made him distant from the harsh realities of India. When he returned as a barrister in 1912, he was young, polished, and hopeful. Yet, he struggled to find his place. The law practice did not inspire him. He was a barrister, but not a satisfied one. He often wondered, what is my role in this great country? For all his education and privilege, he felt like an outsider in his own land. Nehru's first steps in politics were not successful. He lacked confidence. He was overshadowed by stronger leaders. Some dismissed him as too Western, someone who could never connect with India's masses. It was his first taste of failure. But destiny had already chosen his path. In 1919, the Jallianwala Bagh massacre shook the nation. Hundreds of innocent Indians were gunned down. Nehru's heart burned with anger. He could no longer remain silent. Then came Mahatma Gandhi, the leader who awakened a sleeping nation. Under Gandhi's guidance, Nehru's life changed. He left the comfort of his elite world and stepped into the dusty villages, into the homes of farmers and workers. He began to understand the heartbeat of India. From that moment, there was no turning back. The privileged barrister became a freedom fighter. But this new life brought pain and sacrifice. Nehru was arrested for the first time in 1921. Over the next 2 decades, he would spend almost 9 years in British jails. Imagine, 9 years away from his family, his home, his daughter Indira. For most, this would have broken the spirit. But Nehru transformed prison into a place of growth. In the solitude of his cell, he read voraciously history, science, philosophy. And he wrote letters filled with wisdom, love, and reflection to his daughter Indira. These letters later became books, glimpses of world history, discovery of India. The British tried to silence him, but he turned silence into strength. Jail did not defeat him. Jail prepared him. As his leadership grew, so did his bond with the people. Nehru became the symbol of modern India. Where Gandhi represented India's soul, Nehru represented her future, a vision of science, technology, and progress. He spoke of an India that would be democratic, secular, and modern. By the 1930s and 40s, Nehru had become one of the strongest leaders of the Congress Party. He was young, dynamic, and fiery in his speeches. Yet, every rise had its cost. He faced criticism, doubts, and more jail terms. But each failure only made him stronger. And then came 1947. After centuries of slavery, India was free. But freedom came with pain, partition. Millions were displaced. Violence engulfed the land. Amidst the chaos, it was Nehru who stepped forward to give hope. On the midnight of 14th August, his voice echoed in history, at the stroke of the midnight hour. When the world sleeps, India will awake to life and freedom. In that moment, the hesitant barrister had become the Prime Minister of the largest democracy in the world. As Prime Minister, Nehru faced impossible challenges. The nation was poor, divided, and fragile. Yet he dreamed big. He built the great dams, calling them temples of modern India. He established IITs, research centers, and universities. He believed that science and education were the true engines of progress. He championed industrialization, laying the foundations of steel plants, factories, and space research. Internationally, he crafted the policy of non-alignment, refusing to join either the American or Soviet bloc during the Cold War. This gave India respect and dignity on the world stage. Nehru was not just a leader of India, but a voice for all nations finding freedom after colonialism. But Nehru's journey was not free of pain. In 1962, India fought a war with China and lost. The defeat broke his heart. He was criticized, doubted, and weakened. His health declined. For a man who had carried the dreams of millions, this was his deepest wound. Yet, even in failure, he taught India resilience. Leadership, he showed, is not about never falling, but about rising every time you fall. Children loved him, called him Chacha Nehru. He believed in their innocence, their power to shape the future. He once said, "The children of today will make the India of tomorrow. The way we bring them up will determine the future of the country." For him, true nation building was not just in dams and factories, but in education, equality, and the spirit of unity. On 27 May 1964, Jawaharlal Nehru breathed his last. A nation mourned. For millions, it felt as if they had lost a father. But his legacy lived on. The IITs he founded, the dams he built, the vision he gave, all remain the backbone of India's progress. Nehru was not perfect. He stumbled. He struggled, he failed. But he never stopped dreaming. And in his dreams, he carried the destiny of India. His life reminds us that failure and struggle are not obstacles but stepping stones. Nehru's early political years were full of rejection and doubt. Yet, through his long imprisonments, he discovered resilience. Instead of despair, he turned those years into opportunities for reflection, study, and writing. His famous works, Discovery of India and Glimpses of World History, were born from these very struggles, proving that adversity can give rise to wisdom and creativity. As Prime Minister, he faced a broken nation scarred by partition and poverty. Yet, he chose to dream big. He laid the foundations of modern India, dams, industries, IITs, and research institutes. He believed in secularism, democracy, and the power of education, teaching us that true leadership looks beyond the present and builds for generations to come. Perhaps his greatest lesson lies in his faith in children. For Nehru, the future of India was not in wealth or power but in the education and character of its youth. His life shows us that leadership is not about perfection, but about persistence, vision, and service to others. In Nehru's journey, we see that greatness lies not in avoiding failure, but in using every failure as a foundation for success.